Hello, welcome back to this next update. As you can see, I've been busy. I've been building this barge for the dock scene. I'm going to get the dock in place soon. I've still got a little bit of work left to do before I can actually fix that in place. So I want to get the whole standing. And what I have got is these came from Smart Models, and I did a quick test on it. And you sort of roll it out, and it gives you the cobbles. And I've got one for the main part, and just one for in between the tracks. Let's have a look. And that should fit nicely, yeah. Not quite. It just fits in between, so that should be all good. So I'm going to have a go at creating this whole standing one. And first thing I need to do is get some card cut, decide exactly where the whole standing is going to start. I think roughly about here. So I'm going to come across like that. I think that should be about right. I want to do it in sort of the line where the dock is in a way. So, right, I'm going to get the card cut, which is about 5mm. I've measured that, and that's 6mm to the top of the track. So I want to really do it just about 1mm below the track, if I can. So let me. Oh, there is one job I need to do before that, and I want to do the basic weathering on the track. So I'm going to spray the rails from that side, because you never see it from this side, and I don't need to spray the fiddle yard. So that is one job I need to do first before I even start plastering the layout, and take these fish plates off as well. So they've been winding me up, so I need to get those off. I've just moved into the conservatory because it's quite late in the evening. Well, not that late, but it's still really dark outside, and I'm just going to use this nice dark brown just to give the tracks a bit of a coat, giving it a good shake. I just need to protect the point blade, so I'm just putting a small piece of card in just to stop anyone wanted to spray getting onto the inside of that point blade, and just give this a good spray. I only want to do a light spray over this, just to give it a rust colour. And I think that'll do. Like I say, I'm not going to spray it from the other side because I don't think I really need to. I just want to double check the height I need for the card. So that's right to the rail. I need it a little bit less than that, so that looks like 6, maybe 7mm. So I'm going to get these cut. Right, I've got all my strips cut, and they're just might be slightly big, that one actually. Might need to trim that a little bit, but I need to just double check. I think that end might be slightly out. It's supposed to be just under the rails, and it seems to be all okay. So I'm going to just get all the edges lined up and glued on, ready for putting the plaster in. And I'm just using some PVA glue to glue these edges in. So I'm just going to make sure I've got all the ones if they're slightly too big, then I'll just trim them down a little bit. This gives me now the height of where the dock is going to be as well, so I know exactly where to put the dock wall. And I do need me a set square or something just to get that. So there's a bit of a gap there, so might need to work on that gap with a small cardboard strip that goes just in between. I'll have to do a little bit of texture. That'll have to be a little bit of work in progress, I think. So I'm going to get these strips in. I think I've put a few of these a little bit too big. That one's slightly out. That one's much better. So let me get all these in place. We can come back once it's all dry. So I just get this last one, this one in while I'm got the glue. I'm going to go right to the edge on there, just for the grass textures and things like that. So right. Right, that's all the border in place. So now I'm just going to let all that glue dry. So I'm going to let it dry for quite a while actually, so it goes properly solid and I don't knock it over when I'm starting to get the hard standing in place. And the first thing I want to check is, do I have enough clearance? Yeah. So that's card in the middle there, it's not affecting anything. It's not catching the wheels there, so that's all good. Right, I think it's time to get this polyfiller on. I'm just using this one. I've used many times in the past. It is still cracking, and it's very light, and it still has a very soft feel. So you can still, if you've not quite got enough gap, it's easier to carve out. And I'm hoping I've got enough, should have. So basically just slap it on. That's what I've done in the past, many times. I've given up trying to do the cardboard one, hard standings now. Sometimes you know, this is going to be a thick layer, so I might have to do this in 2 sections. So I'm hoping I've got enough. Run down B&Q otherwise. carry on getting all this on, getting all the hard standing. It's going to be about 5mm thick. Smooth it off, wet your knife, and you'll get a nicer, smoother finish. And I'm going to clean it all off at the end anyway, so I need at least just around about a little bit of a mil just where the tracks are, so I will make sure I've got enough clearance for track cleaning. So I'm just going to keep applying this until I've got all the layer covered, and then I can start tidying it. So join me again in a little while when all this is complete. Well, that's about halfway through, and I don't have enough to finish this, which is a bit of a pain. I thought I'd have enough in one of these tubs, so I'm going to need to fetch some more to finish this. So I've got all this nice and level anyway with the first track, and I've still got to put in a thin skim along all of that to fill in all the little gaps, and then sand it back down. So it will look much better once it's dried, but I do need, I've got filler all over my hands and getting it everywhere, so I do need to just make sure that the wagon will run down the track. I will clear a little bit more from the wheels, and once it's dried a little bit more, especially with the loco, so I'm getting a good electrical contact. But yeah, I'm going to have a run down B&Q and go and fetch some more. Right, as you can see, I managed to get some more. I've got plenty to do all the small minor repairs. So there are a few bits where it's not quite level yet, so I need to put in a slightly second layer on that. I just cannot get it any smoother on this first layer. It's just too thick really to get it. So you're talking 5mm worth of filler. I just need to let it dry, don't touch it for at least 24 hours. So it's sort of delaying me a little bit, but I do have something else to be working on while this is drying. So what I've done is, just while it's all fully drying, I've just put it to one side. I've just put a very, very thin extra layer on, trying to fill some of the holes. And then I'm going to let that fully dry and give it a bit of a sand down and see how it looks from there. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be smooth enough to do the cobbles. I've got it really smooth here, not quite so much there, so I'm going to have to wait and see. And I've actually put a little bit more on. It's right on the edge of the tracks now, so I'm going to have to sand more off, so hopefully I can get it quite nice and smooth once I've sanded it down, and then get the cobbles printed into it. But it may end up being concrete, but I really wanted the cobbles this time. I wanted to do a concrete strip on the front there, and the rest sort of cobbles, but let's just see. But while that's drying completely, I've got some buildings to put together. And I've got this one from Scale Model Scenery, and this is by a barn, which I'm not going to have it derelict and everything. I really would like to use this as sort of the boathouse. Hopefully it'll look okay once I've got it built. And I've got one of these from Fair Price Models. I've built these buildings before in 00 gauge, and they're really good quality. and really good price. All you've got to do is work out what textures you want on there, and this is a low relief sort of mill building that I'm going to put at the back. And I think, looking at the size of it, I probably want another one of these. Well, another similar sort of building, which I'll probably will order. But why I'm sort of in between, you know, jobs at the moment, I can't really do any more on the layout itself. I thought I'd get these built and then show you what they look like once they're built. So I'm going to have a look at this one first. And what you do get is obviously some detailed instructions, and then you get your wraps. So you can either choose brick, different types of brick as well. Looks like. Or are they inner? No, they're the outer inners. Sorry. And then we've got stone. I'm not sure which ones I want to use actually just yet. I think the stone one's probably going to be the better. And you do get some nice laser cut tiles, so they just need cutting out. And then you've got all your doors and windows, and well, no windows in this one, but doors and the runners and things like that. So you do need to just paint before you add them on, you know. So it's always best to paint them before you remove them. That's what I've found in the past. So I'm going to look at that and see what colour I want to do those. Right, let me get down to building this, and first thing I always do is, wherever the instructions have gone, have a read of those first before I even start. I've made many of these and not bothered with the instructions, so I need to just double check the instructions before I even start, so I don't go wrong. So I'll come back once I've got this complete. And there we have quite a nice looking building actually. That was a couple of hours build time. Glue's not totally dry yet, but thought you'd have a quick look, and you get some nice detail inside. Some nice beams there, and all the interior walls. So, and I was sort of going to use this as a bit of a boathouse, but I'm yet to decide exactly the position. I think once I've built the other building, I can decide where this is going to go. So, but yeah, recommend this building. It's quite nice. So if you do have a look for it, I think it was about £26 actually, and it's a very solid looking building. You can cut away roof sections, put in extra detail if you wanted to. I want to leave it as standard. I've decided not to have the rear door, so on the back I just used the alternative wraps that they've got instead of having the rear door, because where I've got to position it on the layout, you won't ever get access to the rear door, so it looks silly with a door. So anyway, I'm going to start the next building. And as you can see, this building comes in similar sort of a design. You get your, these are very, very brief instructions, so it really does rely on a bit of common sense and things like that to make these. And you get your sheet with all your doors and windows and lintels and everything. So I'm going to do these in brown again, I think. Match up with that one. You do get glazing, although it's just a really simple piece that you have to just cut around. But I mean, these are really cheap, so you can't expect fully detailed and everything like that. So right, I'm going to get started on this. I need to print some wraps for this one myself. and you do get a back with it as well. So if you're lighting it up, you're not going to shine lights everywhere. So let me start work on this, and then we can have a look once it's done. So what I have done for the front sheet is I've used 2 A4 sheets that I've got, and just cut some triangles for the windows, so it gives you a bit. But where the 2 sheets are, I've done it directly. So obviously I can't fold round the top, but I can just fold those across so they hide the edges there, and then that will look alright. So there is a slight join at the top, but that's where the hoist will go, and you will see a little bit there, but there is some detail that I can cover there. And the reason I've done all these is just hides all the edges, so all I've got to do is just glue those down. These are relatively quick buildings, but I am going to, I've got the main frame there, and I'm going to add lighting into this before I put the front on. And there is holes in each one of those, and I assume it is actually must be for lighting. So, which the previous one I built in double O gauge didn't have that, and I think that's quite a good touch. So I'm going to add all the lighting in before I fix the front on, because I do like lights in buildings. So just glue these down. You can either use a clip or anything like that, and it's probably glued up this top. And you don't have to have them as quite as big as that, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to get all these glued down, and then start working on the lights. Right, I've added all my lights in, and I've just put like a bus on the bottom there. I don't know if that's that visible, but it just saves just one wire coming out the bottom. And I'm just making sure I've glued all the wires in so they don't sort of fall around. Okay, still wet that glue is, so still got to let that dry. I've got all the front of the building done. All I've got to do now is just make sure I've got no gaps. You can see a little bit of light coming through where the doors are, so I just need to make sure and I've also got to put the glazing in. I've also given this a spray with the matte lacquer, hide any glue marks, which has done its job and gives it a lot more waterproof protection as well. So I'm going to fit the glazing, blank any pieces out with a bit of tape on the back, and have that fit on the building itself. One thing I did have to do, I fitted a top ceiling piece on the roof there, only because I needed to fit a lighting strip. Anyway, I'm going to get the glazing in, let this glue dry, get it all together and get it tested. Oh, before I do that, I do want to just make sure my LEDs do work before I glue the front on. It's always a good idea. I've had it before where I've had one that's not working, so they're all working, so that's good. And if it seems a bit too bright, I could always put a bit more of a, just trying to think, a piece of paper or something like tissue paper over there to diffuse the light. Hi, so it's time to get this looking like concrete rather than this big white expanse. And I think I've got enough clearance to the track, feels like okay. But I did have a second go at all the cobblestones, and that was with a black wash, then a dry white brush, and then a grey wash over the top. and it sort of looks okay. Well, I'm not convinced I want it over the whole layout, so I've decided to bin that. I know there's extra expense that I bought purchasing those rollers for the cobbles, but I think it's better to go with something I know and something that will look good. So I'm going to make a few grid lines. As the concrete would be split into sections. Just deciding on the sizes and things like that. So. Really just doing a few little bit random. Hopefully it doesn't look too bad. Something like that. Don't like the look of that small piece like that. So that would be more like that. I think that will be okay. Just something across there, I think, about there, something like that. Oh, that doesn't look quite right, so there we go. Do that one a little bit deeper. Right, time to get a colour wash on there. I've gone for quite a light grey colour wash. Just hoping this looks okay. Always a winning time when you first put the first coat on and you think that looks a bit too dark. It did dry a little bit lighter though, so
Not worried about getting it on the track. So I'm going to clean it all off. I think this could have been a bit lighter actually. Right, it's really, let this dry. It's going to take quite a while because it's very watery. So I'm going to come back tomorrow and do the next coat on there, which will be a lot lighter grey. Right, that's all nicely dried. Just got a very light grey. Sure, I need to do this coating. I'm going to try it down this back end first. I don't want to do a complete full cover of this, just enough, just to give it a bit of a patch feel. Right, I think that's okay for that wash. Just let that dry. And while I was doing the first wash and getting that dry, I thought I'd just give that a coat of green, ready for any textures putting on there. And I was thinking, do I put a road along here? Bit of a fence, some trees along there, that edge to hide the road. A few more trees around here. That'll hide the where it leaves the board. It's all nice and dry now. So I'm going to get some weathering powders on this. So I think what we've used last time was the sienna and the black. I think they work quite nicely. So these are actually stone and cement powders, so seem to work well. And I want to get some all on the sort of lines where I put in. And what I found last time was actually better to just use your hand to brush these in. So I'm just going to get some on the actual layout itself. Seems to sort of soak in a lot more than I was expecting to. So it doesn't seem to go on as well as it did before, actually, for some reason. I'll have a bit of patience and just see where I go. Perhaps I got a bit too carried away up there. Oh, I think it'll be okay. Yeah, it's not too bad. So. Okay, bit of the sienna on. And over this, you have to be really careful because it was very strong. really no idea what I'm really doing. It's just to put a bit on and hopefully it looks good. We could do with dulling that down a little bit. Try something slightly different on that, just to undo some of this yard down. So this is a light sienna, so a little bit more of a dust colour. I think that's working to sort of dull this down a little bit. Yeah, it was a bit too bright. I don't think it's quite as good as what I've done in the past. But, it'll do. It will, once I actually get some extra weathering over here as well. Right, where's the lid to this? Right, I'm going to give this a really good brush now. Try and brush blend it in as much as I can. That's getting more like it. Bit I don't like is that bit there, but when I get some weathering spray, that'll cover that a little bit better. So probably gone a bit too fierce there, but I can always put a bit of grey over the top if I need to. What I did is a very slight damp brush, and then I just wiped it off after that, and that seems to have worked quite well there. So I'm going to try a little bit around these bits as well. So it's only very slightly damp. I think that worked okay actually. And I just want to put the little bit of grass growing through some of these cracks and some of the potholes that's in here. So I'm just going to try that for the moment. Might look like you're getting loads on, but really it's only going to stick a small bit on. So let's get a bit more going. There's a good piece here that I'm going to do. Quite a big pothole, that one. Surprisingly, I sort of thought this was a lot smoother, and then having painted it, you see all the blemishes. I'm not going to get too carried away, but a bit more here and a bit down here. And there will be quite a bit near the edges and things like that, so I'm going to just let that glue dry now. So let's have a quick zoom in. Don't think it's my best attempt, but it's looking okay. So I think once it all glue dries totally, I can then give it a coat of lacquer. And I did finish this building, so let me put that on there. But I wasn't really sure if it goes with this layout. Now I've finished it. And I think the stone warehouse, okay, warehouse would have been in stone, but I think a couple of factory units there might actually be better. So I actually ordered something else to have a look, make those up first, and then make some decisions. But as you can see, I sort of did a nice sort of a tiled roof, and I frosted all the windows in the end because you could see the power cable through one of the windows then. It just didn't look very good, so I thought I'd just frost those. Yeah, it's a pretty good model. I think just while I'm letting all that dry, I just want to have a look at, I've only got this little Mini, I want a Land Rover for here. I want to sort of do a bit of a muddy track, so I need to do them about that wide then. Going it should be a reasonable sort of a same, well, probably not quite as wide as the Land Rover, but gives me an idea of where to sort of do them in brown. And I think just sort of to about there. So and the idea of that is I'm just going to paint all these in sort of brown, but I don't want the grass texture to get on there, otherwise I'm going to have to clean it off, paint it a bit brown and things like that. So I'm going to get a bit of a first layer of the grass texture on that. But I do need some more PVA glue. I don't think I've got enough at the moment, so I may have to put that on hold until next week. Right, I've got everything a good vacuum and a good brush off. Still needs all the track cleaning because I can see some of it's disappeared under a bit of paint there. And I just need to seal everything in. So I'm just going to use some matte lacquer. And I've given this a good shape already. So just so that literally. Not the best idea doing it indoors, but pitch black outside, and it doesn't last very long, the smell, so I just need to let that dry and clean the track and give it a test. Right, I've got the loco out and the controller. And I'm just got it on a extended piece of track, so it's not the best connection actually, but let's just see if we can get this to run. I've given the track a nice clean. A little bit of flicker on the lights there, so I may need to do a little bit more cleaning. That's a positive sign. Let's check the other track. Getting really slow here. Well, yeah, that proves all the tracks now working nicely. As you can see, it's starting to come into shape now. All the track is working. I think I need to just do a little bit of tidying up on there and then just painting it grey again,
because there doesn't seem to be much difference in the level. So when you're cleaning it, you've got to be ultra careful not to scratch. So, but I do have a few detail items that should be quite a bit of an interest. So I've got to paint all this up yet, but so there'll be some sort of rowing boats just scattered around the bottom there, like that. I've got a few more things to detail the boat. I've also had a delivery from Jadland Racing in the last couple of days, which I'm going to have a look at shortly. Well, on the next video anyway. I've not actually unboxed it or opened any of them yet. So, but yeah, I think this is starting to look okay. The barge is good. It's not the best building that I've done. The dock scene's starting to come together. I can't fix this in place until I put all the grass textures on, because I'm going to get a lot of glue down here and things like that. So that's going to need to wait, because I've run out of PVA glue. Well, majority of it anyway. I've only got enough left to do some woodwork that I need to do on the fiddle yard. So this building, I'm not sure I want that one. So I've ordered some more buildings, like I said earlier. But I think everything should be, you know, starting to come together. So, yeah, hope you've enjoyed this episode, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one, and we'll have a lot more progress. Thank you very much for watching. I wish you a very good evening, or a very good rest of the day, and take care.